All right, what's up, everybody? We're doing Feedback Tuesday. So, people that need feedback, today's the day. Because Thursday we will be at Lightbox. So, I will see you then, if that's the case. In the meantime, I need to log on to Facebook real quick and make sure everything is going okay. And then I need to check the restream. So 2 things, and then we will get to painting. So just give me a second. But yeah, if you are trying to if you're trying to get feedback, then just post stuff and we'll go from there. Yeah. All right. Yeah, buddy. Sorry, I'm on my other screen right here, just making sure everything is online. Everything's online, so we're good to go. So we good. Yo, what's up, Fitz? How are you? It's paint time. Taking a little break from Blender today because I had work, so I couldn't come in if I wanted to. But actually, let me check, because I wasn't on Skype today. Let me check to see if I missed some things today, which I think I did. I think I did miss stuff today. Oh, whatever. Let's turn that on, and then we're good to go. My VPN is good, and this needs to be higher. Sorry. Just establishing a picture plane, and we're good to go. Let's get a horizon line. Alright, it's better than nothing. Alright. Stuff's been a little bit laggy of late for whatever reason. More reason for me to consolidate my brushes. But we're going to keep this simple. And smooth this over. And we'll make that blue. Just some, not warm up, but just some basic, like, you know, I don't know. I guess it's kind of like basic, you know, drawing stuff. I don't want to do that much 3D right now. So I'm just going to do some of the practice what I preach stuff, which is, you know, perspective, all that kind of stuff. So this will be a nice little healthy warm-up, if anything. But why is there stuff right here? That's weird. Huh, that's really weird. Maybe because that's like super, super far. I mean, that's what it is. Okay, anyways. We have that one. Now, let's get rid of that. And we'll stretch that one out. So, I just want to establish my picture plane. That's all that I really care about at this moment. Alright, I'm happy with that. Those 2 things are good. So I have my picture plane. And let's see. Picture plane, so let me outline that. So I mean, normally I wouldn't necessarily draw within the picture plane. Like, I wouldn't like make the mark, but I think in this regard it's fine. So I'm just pushing this down right here. So I think we're good to go with that, and then we can do the other stuff right now. So all right, I think we're good to go. Darnell is heading out on a plane in the morning. Nice. So everyone is, yeah, I'm going to see everyone there. Should be a good time. All right, so this is here. And I guess now we can start kind of painting in a way. So actually what I'll do is I'll turn off this and then I'll begin to work. So that means we'll get like a nice little sky like so, and let's begin painting. So just kind of using this to kind of Blender class is cool. I recommend having a lot of knowledge coming in beforehand, because if you can't follow along like me, because I'm kind of new to some stuff, it can be difficult. But I mean, the content is there. It's just it's a little bit harder for me because I have a full-time job and I teach at the same time, so I couldn't put as much time as I wanted into it. But I'm pretty confident that if you take the class and you allot enough time for it, you should get more than what you would need out of the class, in my opinion. So there's some things like structural that I wish you would possibly change, like possibly having some more pre-recorded videos, so that way it's easier to kind of, when you get lost, you don't have to scrub through like 2 hours worth of footage. But you know, everyone has their own teaching preferences, and I'm sure that class will evolve over time. So but overall, it did force me to kind of like learn Blender, because obviously like I'm paying money for it. So in that regard, I think it did what it was supposed to do, which was to get me comfortable in it. And now I feel a lot more comfortable in it. So in that regard, I think it was a successful investment for myself. So as long as I think as long as you take it seriously, you should get what you would need out of the class, and it should begin to put you in a place where you can be curious to ask like the certain questions of how to do things that you probably wouldn't normally know how to ask or know like where to look. It definitely gets you curious about the class, or just about 3D in general. I think that's kind of the goal there. But I would say I would watch a lot of videos of 2.8 Blender before taking that class, because I think you'll get more out of it if you know everything, or if you know a lot more. Like, I didn't know a lot stepping in, so it was kind of rough a little bit for me in the beginning to kind of know what questions to ask and stuff. So in that regard, like, I would recommend that a lot. But I mean, there's plenty of student work there that you can see that people have done. So definitely a very intuitive program. So I think it is pretty cool, if I had to say so myself. So I'm wondering though, did they not meet today? That's really weird. I didn't see anything. It's online, so it's all online. Like, you meet through Skype and stuff, so it's a pretty basic kind of online course. It's just in general kind of hard to take a 3D class online, because it's not like painting where I can kind of sit there and like tell you things, you know? I can say like, hey, like painting's kind of intuitive. I can say, here's the brush tool, like paint whatever you want. Where with Blender, it's kind of like, hey, you need to like hit this button, and if you don't hit this button, then like nothing's gonna work at all. So in that regard, it's actually kind of difficult, just because there's a lot less room for error. You have to be very, very exact on what you're teaching, and so I think sometimes when you don't have like pre-recorded things already kind of made, like it's hard to kind of go through like the recorded videos and like be like, okay, he went over this step. I'm not gonna retain it unless I do it a few times. So now I have to kind of scroll through the video and go, okay, he talks about it here. So you gotta take a lot of notes. If you don't have a lot of notes, it's gonna be a lot harder. But you'll have to watch the videos or watch the classes live, because he kind of does everything live. He doesn't really have any like kind of like lesson plans in a way. Like he'll kind of like start the class, go over the homework, and be like, all right, guys, what we're gonna learn today. And he'll kind of just do it. We'll kind of watch. If you're lucky, you can kind of go along with it. If not, you kind of have to just sit there and watch, and then hope you kind of retain most of it. Then you go back home, watch the videos, and then try it out yourself. So as long as that way of like teaching is like good for you, then like you should be straight. But for me, like it's not the best, because I think in terms of I got to maximize time. But I think for any person that's like a student, I think it'd be more than enough. Like you'd be straight. So hopefully that makes sense. That's sure. All good questions, by the way. All very good questions. So sorry, I'm just making some like hills here, so that way I know how to like fit things on here. So a little more fundamental stuff. And then let's I'm making these little squares. It makes it a little bit easier to kind of figure out where these hills are going to be. Which will in turn make it a little bit easier to plot them. So just my ghetto way of going about it. Cool. And then I could probably maybe fudge the rest. What do you hope to get out of learning 3D? Oh, it's just time. I mean, that's pretty much why you would want to learn it, is just that it's really, really fast. It's a much more efficient way to get things done quicker. And so when you're working in industry, time is money. So doesn't make you a better artist, it makes you a faster artist. So if you already do like shit paintings, then it's not gonna like make you any better, but it is a little bit more easier to kind of roll with. So I think some people have that misconception that it's like, oh, if I do this, then I'll be like a better artist. But no, it's not the case. Yeah, it just makes you better, not faster. So, or it makes you faster, not better. So a lot of the fundamentals still apply to it, but it's just that you can get a lot of like realistic like things that would take you a long time to do in general is like now a lot easier. Like when I was growing up, you know, back in my old day, right? Even though I'm not even that old, to get a lot of things that you can get done in Blender in terms of like rendering and stuff is like insane. Like you can get a lot of stuff done really efficiently, and like that alone is like really, really powerful, considering that again back in the day that would take you forever. So you want it to your workflow because it's a little bit easier to edit. You know, moving the camera around, changing materials. There's just more room for a conversation when you do things in 3D, because it's a lot easier to kind of change things. You know, if I say, hey, I don't like this painting, can you rotate? I don't like this angle, can you rotate it? Well, I'd have to draw this painting all over again. But in 3D, you could simply just, you know, rotate the image and re-render it, and then boom. So doing stuff in 3D is like really, really nice. Like today it actually helped, or last week it helped me out. I did like a little thing at work and I rendered it out. I rendered out a scene, and she was like, oh, well, can you not have as many trees there? And I'm like, sure, turn the trees off. And she's like, oh, well, there's too much grass. Can we get rid of the grass? And I'm like, sure. Turn the grass off. And she's like, oh, the lighting is too intense. Can we maybe make that less intense? And I'm like, sure. Turn it off. And so slowly but surely, like, we're doing this in seconds. Whereas if I was doing just straight up 2D paintings, each one of those requests, no matter how, you know, no matter how much I may or may not agree with her, with their changes or their choices, it doesn't matter, because I can just say, oh, okay, well, sure, like, here we go. And that's the beauty of it, is that it doesn't matter whether I agree or not agree or disagree with whatever they're asking of me. I can just make those changes myself, and then boom, we're done. So, in that regard, it's very, very awesome. It's like, it's way easier to kind of have a conversation about things in real time, and I think it helps you kind of then focus on the creativity a little bit more too. Now, I don't know if I'd ever go like full 3D or anything like that, but it's definitely something I would want to get more of. So I just recently bought a computer too, for this reason, actually, because I don't want to have to, like, I want to be a little more efficient, and I want things to work exactly how I imagine them to. So having a good computer helps too. So. And the industry is already kind of going that way too. You'd be very hard pressed. Excuse me. You'd be very hard pressed to find a job, in terms of concept art, that wouldn't require you to have some kind of 3D knowledge. And the more you know, I feel like it just puts you in a better position to get a job too. Like, it just you're that much more useful, in my opinion, when you know that kind of stuff. So hopefully that's another good way too. So very cool. So in terms of final image, wanting to paint over the look, how close does the render get you? 70, 30? It really depends on how, that's kind of up to you. So like, I remember sitting in a class with Eitan Zana, and he was talking about like an 80-20 rule. When he does 3D, does he do 20% modeling and then he's gonna paint a lot over it, or does he do 80% modeling and 20% Photoshop? So I always kind of lived by that rule of like, all right, do I do like 20% modeling, which is like very rough kind of block out, and then I'm gonna paint a lot over it, or do I go like a Florent Lebrun style, where like I do like 90% modeling or 80% modeling and just some very, very light Photoshop. Well, thing about Blender, in terms of the rendering and stuff, you can get that to almost like 90%, just from the modeling and texturing, and then boom, next thing you know, you can easily begin to either work on top of that, or just leave it as is, which before, back in the day, you had to kind of use multiple programs, this and that. So that's kind of cool too, in that regard, is that you can just get further off a base image and then start kind of painting over it, which before was just like kind of hard to do. So that in itself, I think, is like pretty cool, in my opinion. Okay, let me make this lighter. This is too much. Ah, there we go. So I don't like that. Can we use that 3D background element? Can we use that 3D background element directly in the main project, or is it just for concept purposes? What do you mean that 3D background element? What are you talking about? You talking about like in Blender and like in general? I think what you're saying is like if I do something in 3D, can they use it directly in there? Some cases you could, but at that point, I don't think that's the goal there. I think your goal is just to help further the visual idea of it. So if that's the case, like if I was really gonna do that, then I may have to like UV and texture stuff and make sure like the modeling is like really really strong. So normally no, I probably wouldn't. I would just do it as quick and dirty as possible. I think speed is what we're kind of aiming for here. If anything, I don't want it to be like I think eventually the next step will be then everything will be like game ready. Like you could do stuff that's like you could instantly use it now and it would be fine. But I personally don't want to do that because I don't know. That's just not really. I don't want to get to the technical side of it. I just want to do the cool stuff, which is very selfish of me. But yeah, all good questions, by the way. Yeah, 3D can definitely make things too perfect, and so you'll have to find ways to kind of fight the 3D. As someone once told me, which means like again making things like uneven, a little bit skewed here and there, which isn't necessarily that hard. You just have to kind of consciously know to do it. But I think once you learn to kind of find that balance of it, I feel like it's a very very powerful. It's a very very powerful tool. And I think what kind of made me not want to do 3D so long ago when I was in school was that it just didn't feel intuitive to me. And so like I don't want to be preachy or be super on like this kind of Blender train or whatever, but because that's how most people kind of sound like when they talk about it. It's like, oh, it's everything. But for most 3D artists, they're like, oh, you could do this a long time ago. But for the first time, it does kind of feel like that it is very intuitive, and that's nice. That what you think should happen when you do stuff in a 3D program should happen. I think for me, when like back in the day when you wanted to get like an ambient occlusion render in Maya, like the amount of work you had to do, like to do something really really simple, you had to like give up your firstborn, like go kill a goat and like sacrifice its blood, like all the things you had to do in order to like get like a simple render or to get like just like some real-time lighting. It literally felt like you had to like climb Mount Everest to get something that like may or may not work. And that's the problem with 3D, is that there's a lot of testing, right? There's a lot of work to do one thing, and if that thing doesn't work, then you wasted a lot of time. And so there was no guarantee like in 3D, and I think that's probably where most people got scared, is because you're like, I want to try it, but then if this doesn't work out, I just wasted time on a project, right? You know what I mean? And you don't have time to waste on a project. You have to get stuff done right away. But for the first time, I would say it does feel nice, because it does feel like everything that should works the way you want it to, and then it doesn't feel as much as a what if, like what's going to happen kind of situation. Like, you know exactly what's going to happen and everything that should work. And the tests that you're going to run are not going to be like super heavy in terms of time and labor. You can answer a lot of questions with 3D very, very quickly nowadays. Which before, like, yeah, to take the time to render something out, like, man, I used to suck. Like, nothing was more like a killer of like my vibe is when like you model something and you do all this crap to it, and then all of a sudden when you get the render, it looks like shit, and you're like, oh, that wasn't useful at all. I feel like you're guaranteed to get useful information now. Okay, which artists are you currently looking at for inspiration and goals? I don't know. I think I look at things nowadays like that aren't art related, if that makes sense. Like, if I look at inspiration, I look at someone like my wife or my brother or my mother. I think those things I think are nowadays where I personally would find inspiration more nowadays than just like artists. Because I feel like artists just kind of come and go, so I don't really tend to look at it in that way anymore. Nowadays, like, it's mostly just close friends and family that like I'll look at what they're doing and I'll kind of say, hey, like, that inspires me to want to do something for myself, as opposed to kind of looking at an artist by itself and going like, hey, like, what you do inspires me and I need to like be like you, if that makes sense. So I don't know if I've had an artist inspire me like in a while, like in a way like that, where I'm like, I like what we're talking about is like very profound. I still look up to colleagues, like, friends and family, like, or a good friend like Anthony Jones, something like that. We'll connect every once in a while in person and talk about life and art, stuff like that. But at this point, art is what it is, and I'm sure I'll keep learning till the day I die. I find more inspiration in life stuff, I would say, more often than like art things of like, hey, this person inspires me for drawing. I look at more the life stuff, I guess. 'Cause now that I'm getting older, I feel like I always had that saying that art is easy, life is hard, and that still kind of rings true to me. That art is one of those things where if you just keep doing it, you'll naturally get kind of better at it. If you keep doing it the right way, by the way, like if you keep practicing the right things and keep practicing the fundamentals, eventually, like you will probably be at a place where I would argue that you could easily be employable. It's not guaranteed for everyone, by the way. I mean, that's definitely like the scary part about it. You could easily like try your entire life doing this and never get a job or not be cut out for it. But very rarely do I see someone who does the right things, that's taking the right class, that's like, you know, taking classes and like practicing and really trying to like hone their, like really listening to like their teachers and stuff. Very rarely do I see that happening and then they still suck. Like it's almost impossible. It's the people that have like egos and stuff like that don't listen, that end up having like, you know, work problems, or they're like, oh, I still can't get a job, or you know what I mean. Like after that long, if you're still not getting work or you're still not getting better, then I feel like it's more of like an internal thing. Just because there's so many resources now, there's like no reason to like not be dope. Like not be dope like sooner rather than later, I suppose. So that's like, again, like the really, really cool part about it is that you can be dope at something like relatively early in your life. And I think the reason why I'm kind of a preacher of that as well is just because like I've seen people that have like made that journey, you know, journeymen that have come out to LA, taken the classes, put in the work, and then literally within like a couple years time, like just began to like take off and then get jobs, get things, like, you know what I mean? And then people are kind of like, well, what does that guy have that I don't have? And it's kind of like, well, I mean, he showed up, he didn't complain, he just was ready to do the work. Now, granted, not everyone has those opportunities. Like, not everyone has the money or whatever to have someone support them while they're doing stuff. So there's always that kind of factor. But even then, like, I've met plenty of people overseas that have made it out here off the same thing. You know, still having to support a family, still doing their thing. Again, I think it really just depends on like how much you're willing to give up, or you know, how much you're willing to sacrifice in a way. But again, if you come to LA and you do the right things, taking the right classes, you know, you're hanging with the right people. Yeah, I haven't seen most people that make it out there or that like are doing the right things will do fine. But there are totally people that go out there thinking like, hey, if I'm just there, then I'll you know, I'll get a job, and that's not the case either. Like you still have to be good. And a lot of people kind of confuse repetition with like excellence, you know? They go, it's kind of like I go to the gym every day, so therefore like I should be fit. But like if you're going to the gym and you're being lazy, then it's like it doesn't really solve anything. So there's some people that are like, oh, I'm going to, you know, Lightbox, or oh, I'm going to these classes at Brainstorm, therefore like I should be good and I should have a job. It's like, no, it's a criteria for entrance, not a criteria for excellence. So it's like, just because you go to these things does not mean you're going to be guaranteed a job. You still have to put in the work. So there's that side of the coin too, a little bit, where I used to feel that way. It was like, oh, if I went to school, I'll get a job, right? If I just show up and just kind of do the homework, I'll, you know, that's a very kind of high school mentality that I had to get kind of beaten out of me. And luckily I had it beaten out of me like earlier so that I could, you know, become somewhat successful. And Pitt says, I get that. Reading is giving me the most inspiration, especially since the visuals are 100% already starting to my brain. Yeah, reading is good. Like, I like, you know, like other things that are not art related, you know. Reading about science, nature, you know, just whatever you're into. I think we kind of always say, I think we make the mistake of thinking that we can only learn from other artists, when or get inspiration from other artists, and I think that's like so far from the truth. All right. There we go. I don't know why I put this in red, but actually maybe we'll just do that. I don't know if I want that negative space there. And I have a feeling that I don't. But it doesn't mean we can't. Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's cheesy, but it should work. Now I wonder if I should change that angle. Yep, I should. I want it to be more of a V. Now maybe we'll have this go through. I don't know. Like, I do like the idea of it, but I don't know. Let's try that again. So what's the other option? Other option is we just put a bunch of them. So I guess that works. I guess that's probably better. The question is, all right, perspective. This might solve my issue. Is what if I just put it in perspective more? So it's bigger, smaller. There we go. Cool. And then I think if I think what the problem was, I was just with being lazy. I didn't want to think about like painting it in the right dimensions, and so that kind of solved that problem now, because now I can actually go from there to there, and now there's like gonna be actual like dimensions to it. See, now that feels like it makes more sense. So I'm with that. And the next thing is to paint some clouds. My favorite time of the year. Cool, let me turn this off and see what it looks like. Fitz says, I recently started listening to your talk about the art journey. I wanted to thank you for sharing that. It resonated a lot, and something I reflected throughout the day afterwards. Ah, sure. No problem. I think, you'll be quick to find that artists that you look up to and artists that you may think that you don't have a lot in common with. I think you'll be surprised to find that we're all pretty much the same. Hence why we should treat each other that way. Treat each other equally. You'll find out we're all pretty much the same. And when you travel a lot, you'll realize that even though some things might be different culturally, fundamentally, most of us are pretty similar. So I think to fix this issue here, what I should do is add some lines to this. So if I add some lines in terms of where I think the form should go, I think this would in turn make my life a little easier. So now if I kind of paint it like that, right, then but at the same time do it in perspective. Like now it feels like it's this thing is properly on the mountain. So that connection is important. But yeah, I'm glad that you possibly got something positive out of that. That's actually one of my very first talks I ever did, and I feel like that talk has resonated with people the most, more so than any kind of like cool rendering of an environment or whatever I could do. People kind of look to that and they go, you know what, like, yeah, you could watch someone paint all day long, like, you know, you can find that on YouTube. But I think that still goes back to my idea that like art is easy, life is hard, and I'm personally a believer that I talk more about life stuff than anything. So I think the life stuff is kind of what really defines you. A lot of things happening here. I don't know if I agree with half of them, but it's a good start. It's a good start. All right, about 15 minutes left. It's a good start. So I'm not gonna have. So I think we will be doing some small little demos at our booth at Lightbox. So I probably have to like get better at this, at doing some like chiller drawings. So this is good. This is a good little healthy practice. Hey. Oh no, gotta fix that. Clouds in perspective. I'll have that bounce around a little bit. My wife home? Sorry, I hear something. No, maybe she is home. I think she is home. So I hear the garage door opening. Actually, no, because my dog isn't getting up. So then what is that sound I hear? You know what? I can check another way. had this app called like Life 360. It's one of my favorite apps I've ever gotten, like on the phone. It like lets me know exactly where my wife is, like at all times. Like if I know, you can set little parameters to know that she made it to work safely. It's really good. It puts my mind at ease. And it's the same for me. So like if I leave work, it will be like Kaylin has left work, or Kaylin has arrived to pick up like my dog. And it's very, very helpful. Because something ever goes wrong, right? Like I know exactly where she's been. Like it pinpoints her stuff, like where she's checked into and that kind of stuff, and it's like really good. So I never have to really like call her a lot of times. I'm like, you know, hey, where are you? Like that kind of thing. I can just check the app. So it says she left work about 20 minutes ago. So, oh yeah, she will be home in like 5 minutes. There you go. Now, this only works if you have like a healthy relationship. If you're like super paranoid, then I'm sure this is probably not the best thing to have. Because that means you're probably like constantly like checking on your spouse. But I do it strictly for safety reasons. Because you never know. Never know, might get into an accident, might, you know, get kidnapped or some shit like that, God forbid. Not that that's ever going to happen, but I'm the kind of guy that worries about those kind of things. So that makes it a lot easier. So whenever she goes out of town, she can ping where she's at, and then I can go, oh, okay, she made it home. She made it to her hotel safely, that kind of stuff, for work things. All right. So these clouds are not amazing, to say the least, but they are... They are cool to some degree. So yeah, if you're going to be at Lightbox Expo, definitely come by and say hi. Oh, I'm rhyming in these commentaries. And then towards the end, actually, I'll probably give you guys a booth breakdown and stuff like that and whatnot. Apparently I'm on a talk. I did not know I'm on a talk on a panel until like the other day I found out that I'm going to be on the Gumroad panel. Kind of interesting because technically I'm not that popular on Gumroad, but compared to some of the people that they're having talking, but I guess, you know, you probably want people of different ranges of success and, you know, popularity. But I will be on there with Anthony Jones talking about like Gumroad and things that I've done on it in the past and whatnot. I think it's for like for creators, people that want to get into maybe like, you know, creating content and stuff like that. They're going to be talking about that, so it's probably the only talk that I have to do. But I will show, I will talk about, you know, where our booth is located, what we're going to be selling, that kind of stuff. We'll all be, going to talk about that all in a second. No idea about parties, by the way, none of that stuff. I just follow Fonz. You know, wherever he goes, that's where I'm usually about to be at. All right, let me turn this off so I can kind of paint the last minute or so with this off, and maybe that will give us a nice little comp. It's not bad. There's a lot of things I would fix about it, but it definitely gets the conversation started. For sure. All right, hold on one second. Okay. Okay. Oh, my wife is finally home. There you go. All right. So, Lightbox Expo, as if for the millionth time that you guys are probably tired of hearing about it, because everyone's fucking talking about it, and it's kind of annoying actually at this point. Like, not annoying, but I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm like, can we just have this damn thing already? There's too much hype around it. I don't like it to be that hype, but I guess it's supposed to be hype. I don't want people getting disappointed. All right. Lightbox Expo. So let's click on that. What the hell is my wife doing? Did she just lock my door? What? That's weird. I guess we'll find out in a second. Did you just honk your horn?
No, it's because I was grabbing my bag and my bag hit this.
Oh, so you did honk the horn.
On accident.
I didn't ask if you did.
Grab on my bag.
I didn't ask if you did on accident. I asked if you honked the horn.
Then yes, I did.
Then yes, you did. Okay, I love you. Okay, anyways, so tickets, obviously, you know where that's at. Not that I'm trying to like sell you on anything, but if you should check it out at least. It's probably worth checking out. Anyways, where's the show floor? Let's find out where we are. I believe we are 208, which will be, I think, when you walk into registration. You should be able to walk in here, and that should be it. Go to the left. We're right there in the front. So that's where we'll be. Definitely come say hi. I will be selling some prints for the first time like ever in my life. So please come and buy a print to justify to my wife of why I spent money on printing stuff out. So that's about it. There isn't anything else. In terms of parties, I do not know. Probably will be clubbing on Friday, maybe even Saturday. I don't know. I don't go out that lot. I don't go out a lot in the Bay Area nowadays. I stay home a lot, so it's my excuse to hit the club, go party and drink. So if you're down for that, then you'll have to come find me. But in the meantime, that is it. Anthony Jones should be doing a talk and a demo. But yeah, come check out the programming and stuff like that. I think it should have a list of like all the people that are doing talks. Yeah, see, there you go. So all kinds of interesting talks that are probably going down there. Portfolio reviews. Honestly, if you are going for the first time, I try not to get like too hyped up about my expectations. I just go there to try to meet people, to see old friends and maybe possibly meet new friends. So I never go into it thinking that I'm going to get a job or get a possible connect or whatever. I just go just to kind of have fun. I think if you go in with that attitude, I think most people will have a good time. So try to kind of not get crazy with your expectations of like, because that's how people get disappointed and whatnot. Just go and just have fun and meet people. I think if you go with that, trying to meet nice, awesome people, then that are kind of have the similar interests as you, which is art, then I think most people will have a really, really good time. Obviously, they created a place for us to go to like make that happen. So utilize it and have fun. So that's my little demo today. Nothing else. From Argentina. What's up? That's what's up. God, I love my Argentinians as a fellow soccer player. If you're gonna be out there, just message me on Facebook. You are more than welcome to. Maybe I might do a stream or something like that from my house or from my hotel. Maybe I'll do a stream or something like that. Have some people come talk. Might do something like that. We'll figure it out. But in the meantime, guys, please take care, and I will see you guys technically next Tuesday. All right. So, all right, guys, take care, and as always, peace out. Thanks for stopping by. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks guys, for coming through and being active in the chat. Very, very appreciative. Thanks, Kang. I'll see the rest of you guys later. See you guys later, man.